Representative James McGovern are standing up for radio listeners like us by supporting legislation to keep AM radio in cars. They know the value of local radio in times of emergency. Now it's time for Congress to finish the job and pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act. Learn more at dependonam.com. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
As a busy mom, my to-do list is full.
While we can't add more hours to the day, we do have a great resource to help.
Go Red for Women has information to help you and your family live a healthier life.
Visit goredforwomen.org/momlife today.
Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. One of the biggest challenges in financial planning is seeing the full picture. When your investments are spread across multiple accounts, it can be difficult to know how much you actually have and whether your strategy is really working. You might be taking on more risk than you realize or missing opportunities to better align your portfolio. Bringing your accounts together can help create clarity so you can see your total assets, your true allocation, and make more informed decisions about your financial future. Our new guide is called Consolidating Investment Accounts. It walks you through how to get organized, simplify your strategy, and build a more complete financial plan. Call 800-393-4001 to get your free copy today. That's 800-393-4001, or you can request the guide by visiting armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
For many hardworking families and retirees, an energy bill comes with an impossible choice. Paying the bills, putting food on your table, and keeping your family warm in winter and your home cool for the summer. But it shouldn't be that way. For more than 40 years, Citizens Energy has made one simple promise: to help households afford life's basic needs. Through Joe for Oil, we help neighbors through the coldest winter nights. Now, we're building on that same promise with Joe for Sun, a new way to save on electricity year-round. Our solar projects are already in communities across Massachusetts and New York, helping thousands of households save money. For many families, that means saving up to 50% on electricity. No installation, no equipment, and you keep your utility company. Like my dad's program before, we keep it simple, helping lower your utility bill through community solar at no cost to you. Call 1-855-JOE-FOR-SUN or visit citizensenergy.com to see if you qualify. You've trusted Citizens Energy to show up when it matters most. We're still here, ready to help.
Sponsored by Citizens Energy.
This is Tucker Silva of the Financial Exchange Show, and I'm joined today by estate planning attorney Todd Lutzke with your Financial Exchange Quick Tip of the Day. And today, we're talking about the top estate planning mistakes to avoid. Todd, a lot of people create their estate plan, but there are some that don't actually transfer assets into it. Can you explain why this is such a big mistake?
Sure. I'm going to try to explain it both from a revocable and an irrevocable planning standpoint. With the revocable, if you don't put assets in there, you end up leaving them owned perhaps jointly if you're married, and designated beneficiaries and the like. But if everything goes to the spouse when one dies, then you've completely avoided your estate plan. In other words, you've set your trust up, but you went around it by leaving everything to the spouse instead of going through it by funding the trust and cramming down the assets to shelter some from estate taxes on the first death, so there's less taxed on the second death. And ultimately, on the second death, if you don't plan, there could be a probate problem because everything would go to probate if it's in their own name. The other big reason is with an irrevocable trust, of course, not funding it also can result in estate tax problems by the same way it did with the revocable trust. But in addition to not funding them with the irrevocable, you don't even begin the 5-year waiting period to get the assets protected from the nursing home. So there's a much bigger problem not funding an irrevocable trust versus not funding a revocable trust. So make sure you fund your trust if you do your planning.
Well, luckily, Todd Lutzke and the estate planning experts at Cushing & Dolan have written a brand new guide that details the estate planning blunders to avoid. You can request this brand new guide by simply calling 866-848-5699, 866-848-5699, or you can request it from their website, legalexchangeshow.com.
The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing and Armstrong do not endorse each other and are not affiliated. The Financial Exchange is produced by Money Matters Radio and is hosted by employees of the Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. All opinions expressed are solely those of the hosts, do not reflect the opinions of Armstrong Advisory or anyone else. Investments can lose money. This program does not offer any specific financial or investment advice. Please consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong Advisory and the advertisers heard on this program do not endorse each other or their services. Armstrong and Money Matters Radio do not compensate each other for referrals and are not affiliated. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Mike Armstrong. Your exclusive look at business and financial news affecting your day, your city, your world. Stay informed and up to date about economic and market trends, plus breaking business news every day. The Financial Exchange is a proud partner of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. Help us support our great American heroes by visiting dav5k.boston and making a donation today. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Mike Armstrong.
It's Chuck, Mike, and Tucker with you here, and we kick things off today with an update on the story that broke while we were in the middle of the show yesterday, around 10:30 or so. There was an Axios report that came out that indicated that the U.S. and Iran were nearing an agreement to extend the ceasefire to 60 days. And with that, have some additional provisions related to potentially opening the Strait of Hormuz, allowing additional traffic through, and so on and so forth. We still don't have any details on that, but that report indicated that this was pending President Trump's approval and effectively, looking for that senior level approval there. There also was no confirmation from the Iranian side. And so it still looks like we are in a holding pattern on this, but Bloomberg and Reuters, as well as Fox News, confirming the Axios reporting yesterday. So it does appear that we are, inching closer to something. Exactly when something ends up being signed and the specifics of it are still up in the air at this point.
No doubt. Oil prices now down about 20% from their 2026 highs. Most of that having been given up just over the last couple of weeks here with the optimism of this deal. At the same time that, informed executives in the oil industry are warning of record low inventories, which we've been highlighting on this program now for a couple of months. Look, I think there's very clearly an incentive within the White House to move things along. I'm sure that they are meeting with oil executives and understanding from the EIA just how dire a situation the U.S. energy market and as dire as it is here, much worse overseas. So I think there are some incentives that are lining up, but the question remains, right? I don't think we've had anything that has looked quite as serious as this over the course of the war in terms of winding things down, but it's really tough to judge from the outside how serious this ceasefire is and how serious it is to the most important factor of reopening the Strait of Hormuz to at least some degree of traffic.
Yeah, so I think that, again, it does appear that maybe there's some room for optimism here. We have had, a number of false starts over the last 6 weeks, and it does appear, at least like from the reading that I have, this isn't going to be a final deal that addresses all points. It simply is to extend the ceasefire that's already in place, maybe with a couple other provisions included in there. But we don't have any specifics. We haven't seen anything in writing at this point. Iran's had a number of different people come out and say different things in the last day or two. We haven't really heard much from the White House directly at this point. To be quite honest, generally when you're not hearing anything directly, I tend to think that that's actually when progress tends to be made. It's usually not with, big public pronouncements. It's generally, more, okay, like we're getting close, let's not, say anything while we're inching closer there. And we'll just have to kind of see where this goes. Again, maybe there's something that breaks over the weekend. Maybe it's later today. Or maybe this is another false start. I don't really know. But it does seem, based on the confirmation of reporting, that things are moving in the right direction on these negotiations. But you never know. Like I just don't know, and we've had enough false starts that I'm kind of waiting for the signed document before I say, okay, like here we go, and there's something really to this.
I'm sitting here, I guess comparing this to other events in the past, especially the last couple of years, and the tariff wars, for example, of sitting here and thinking about, okay, will something negotiated happen? We have the rollout of these high tariffs. Which ones are going to be wiped away? And in those events, there wasn't a firm deadline. And this one, there isn't a firm deadline either, but there's clearly a looming line in the sand here where oil prices, which are, by any expert's reckoning, well below where they kind of figured they would have been, have to shoot up at some point, because we are just getting to these levels of inventories that can't be sustained across the globe. And so while I think a lot of people are looking at it in the same way that they did tariff talk and other things, we're talking about these very physical commodities that everybody needs.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be the same. It's not going to play out in the same way that those other things did, because it's not a question of what price importers have to pay for a good. It is, will you have the physical availability of oil? And oil is the easiest one to talk about. There's other things too, but it is so fundamentally different from those other moments in time that we've experienced over the last few years.
Yeah, and I made reference yesterday. There was a quote going on, not a quote, there was a conference going on that Sanford Bernstein had put on, and I mentioned that an ExxonMobil executive had said some things related to the price of oil yesterday. I got the full quote, actually, and this is from Neil Chapman, a senior vice president of ExxonMobil. So, look, Neil probably has forgotten more about the energy markets than I will ever know. But this is his quote. I'm going to read the full thing in its entirety. Commercial inventories of crude oil, of liquids, think petroleum, gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, they've all run down. And running down those inventories has mitigated or offset, supplemented by the release of strategic petroleum reserves, which most of the Western countries have done. All of this has mitigated the impact. You can model this, and we've modeled it, and I think a lot of people in the industry have modeled it. We're approaching unheard of inventory levels. I mean, really, really low levels. You can debate whether that's going to hit those levels in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but once you get to that point, then you'll see the price shoot up. I mean, I think dated Brent, most people would say that dated Brent will shoot up. Dated Brent, he's referring to Brent crude that has a specific date for delivery, not just a futures contract. Once you get to that really low inventory level, potentially up to $150 or $160. The models would tell you that. And then what happens is that when the price gets to a certain level, demand destruction brings it back into balance, and prices go so high that it becomes unaffordable, and that's what happens. And so we're at that level now. I think crude being in this $90 to $110 range for whatever it is the last 6 weeks has really been mitigated by running down inventories, but it can't last forever, and we'll see what happens. And predicting this in the exact timing is always a challenge, but that's the way we see the picture. So you've got someone pretty high up in ExxonMobil basically saying what we've been talking about for the last 4 to 6 weeks, which is, look, you've got these inventory drawdowns, which are not theoretical anymore. Like, they are happening right now. 4 of the largest 15 weekly drawdowns of U.S. commercial crude inventories have happened over the last 5 weeks. And so, like, it is happening now, and the question is just a matter of, hey, is this something that becomes a problem in the next 4 to 6 weeks, the next 6 to 10, the next 10 to 16 weeks? Like, that's the time frame that we're talking about. And remember that because of the transit times of ships around the world, it's not like you can just take oil from the Middle East and be like, hey, get it to, the U.S. in, a day, or get it to Asia in a day, or get it to Europe in a day. It's something where it's going to be a multi-month process to unlock Hormuz and actually get production spooled up. And so this is what we've been talking about, which is that, look, as of a few weeks ago, you're probably at a point of no return where you're going to see some kind of issue this summer with pricing just because of what's already in the system and how things are moving. It's just a matter of how high do those prices have to go and how long does it last. And that's kind of what the this senior vice president of ExxonMobil was talking about yesterday.
And the way he said all that, by the way, I don't think he was expressing his personal opinion. He used the word we several times. So he is giving the opinion of the experts at ExxonMobil here, and I don't think there's a whole lot of people globally who have a better view into it. You can say...
I sure don't.
You can certainly argue that, they're just trying to insert pressure on the Trump administration to negotiate something, but this wasn't a press conference that they gave. This was a guy at an investment conference. So I tend to think, the real experts out there are sending out warning signals that, hey, in the next few weeks, not months, next few weeks, we get to very unsustainable levels of inventories here in the United States, which does not mean shortages, but, hopefully does not mean shortages, but very likely means higher prices.
Let's take a quick break. I want to dig in on that afterwards, the idea of shortages versus price hikes, because it is somewhat binary, and I want to talk about the mechanics of that and explain it. So let's take a quick break, and we'll discuss that when we return.
Smart financial talk whenever you want. Find the Financial Exchange on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and keep up to date on daily business news from New England and around the country. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Hi, this is Chuck from the Armstrong Advisory Group. If your financial life feels scattered, you're not alone. Over time, it's easy to end up with accounts in different places. Old retirement plans, different banks, multiple apps. It's what we call account sprawl. When you've got your money across the spectrum, things can get missed, like overlapping investments, and bringing everything into focus allows you to spend less time tracking accounts and more time making smart decisions. Our new guide is called Consolidating Investment Accounts, and it may offer strategies that can simplify your overall financial picture. Call 800-393-4001 to get your free copy today. That's 800-393-4001, or you can request the guide at armstrongadvisory.com. That's armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. Long-term care costs can reach thousands of dollars per month and can put a serious strain on your savings. The experts at Cushing & Dolan often see families caught off guard by that reality. Without the right plan in place, those costs can quickly eat through a lifetime of your hard work. But here's the shocker. Many estate plans don't protect your assets from those expenses. The right strategy may involve specific types of trusts designed to help protect your assets, but timing matters. Cushing & Dolan has a brand new guide called Detour Ahead, Estate Planning Potholes to Avoid. It breaks down some of the most common and costly mistakes people make and explains how to help protect your assets, your family, and your future. Call 866-848-5699 to get your free copy today. That's 866-848-5699. Or you can request the guide online at legalexchangeshow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
I was 24 when I had a stroke.
I was 35 when I suffered a heart attack.
I was 46.
I was 62.
It's a fact. Cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death in women.
But we can fight against our number one killer.
Talk to your doctor about your risk factors.
Know your family history.
Learn the warning signs and symptoms.
Together,
let's go red for women.
Visit goredforwomen.org to learn more.
Here at the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, we are committed to all students not only attending, but succeeding at school. Your presence is powerful. Share why you attend at doe.mass.edu.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education.
Our Senators Edward Markey and Elizabeth Warren and Representative Stephen Lynch are standing up for radio listeners like us by supporting legislation to keep AM radio in cars. They know the value of local radio in times of emergency. Now it's time for Congress to finish the job and pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act. Learn more at dependonam.com. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
When a heart stops, the clock starts. You are the first responder until help arrives. In that moment, 4 minutes equals brain damage. 6 minutes equals too late in an emergency. The first responder is you. We need you. Will you be ready? Learn CPR. Visit heart.org/nation. That's heart.org/nation.
Business and financial news affecting the markets and your wallet. We've got it all straight from Wall Street, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
The Financial Exchange is a proud partner of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. Register for today for this year's DAV 5K on Saturday, November 7th at Fort Independence on Castle Island. If you're not able to participate, you can still support our great American heroes by visiting dav5k.boston and making a donation today. Your participation helps provide vital services like free transportation to medical appointments and safe housing for single veterans and their families. Donate today at dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
Mike, so during the last segment, we were talking about where oil inventories are going, and we shared a quote from a senior vice president at ExxonMobil that said, yeah, at some point within a matter of weeks, it could be in June, July, August, like there's something coming that's probably going to push prices up. Whether that actually comes to fruition or not, we don't know. Again, I don't think there's anyone who would be sitting here being like, hey, Hormuz has been closed for 3 months and the price of oil is, still in the 80s or 90s. I don't think anyone would have said that was the case before, but here we are. So here's where the question comes in terms of, hey, do we see higher prices or shortages? And what we see is a situation where generally what happens is as the oil inventory system gets stressed in any particular country or part of a system, prices rise because the way that you avoid a shortage is through prices rising to reduce demand, which then prevents you from getting to those critical levels. That's the mechanism for not running out, basically.
Yep.
In the event that prices stay low for whatever reason, and generally what my point of view is, look, in the United States, you're really, really unlikely to see shortages outside of maybe the West Coast because their system is kind of disconnected from the rest of the U.S. system, particularly California. And you've got some maybe minor problems with East Coast diesel supply and things like that. But again, even there, I'm not really, saying that you're going to see shortages just because it's not very likely. And the reason why is that the U.S. being a relatively wealthy country compared to most other countries on Earth, has the ability to outbid everyone for both crude and refined product. We can afford to pay, I'm not saying that we would like this, but we could afford to pay $7 a gallon for gas. Whereas if you live in Thailand, you can't. You just don't have the income to be able to do so. Right. And so the demand gets destroyed over there as opposed to here. And so supply stays in the U.S. and you don't see product shortages. You simply see higher prices. The question that I think is a interesting one to ask because, again, we haven't seen prices move as high as a lot of people have expected to this point, is if prices stay low, does that change the situation? And the answer is it's possible because with oil priced at $90 a barrel, if prices do not rise, then you do not get that same level of demand destruction. And so if prices stay in that range, it's okay, we're going to send, some of the $90 oil over to Thailand because they were able to bid successfully on it. And that doesn't stay domestically, and maybe you end up with shortages in that situation because there is only so much oil to go around and finished product. The product is really what matters.
Yeah, Chuck, I just have a tough time comprehending the mechanism by which that happens, right? Like, I know you're saying, like, oh, what if prices just stay low? And my answer is they can't. If like it just I'm confused by the mechanism, right? We don't talk about prices as though they are just a magical thing that happens.
No, I know.
People have to bid them in one direction or another. And so I just can't envision a scenario where refiners or gas stations run out of gasoline here at the same time that Thailand is outbidding us on gasoline. It just doesn't mechanically make any sense to me. So, yeah, we will see. But quite honestly, the price of oil right now doesn't make any sense to me. The price of gasoline doesn't make any sense to me at this point in time. And so far be it from me from knowing with any degree of certainty, but I just have a tough time envisioning the scenario.
Yeah, again, we'll have to see. I find that, over the last 7-8 years, it's best to keep an open mind with regards to what may or may not happen.
Yeah.
And I think we'll just have to see how things go over the course of the summer. Based on everyone who I hear from, and this is literally everyone in the energy industry that I talk to or read or any publications that I can find on this, it's rare to find unity amongst energy analysts because generally there's plenty of stuff to disagree on. Pretty much everyone that I read, whether they're normally oil bulls, oil bears, everyone in between, oil agnostics, they've basically all looked at the situation and been yeah, this is going to create a problem sometime this summer. Mm-hmm. Exactly when the problem shows up and the magnitude of it is an open question. It's anywhere from, okay, problems start to show up in June to problems start to show up in, late August, early September. But it's there. It's a question. It's a matter of weeks and a handful of months, not a question of are we going to waiting for this for years. And the other thing that they'll universally say is, look, every day that you don't have ships traveling, the problem gets worse to the tune of we have an extra 10 million barrel gap that needs to be filled from somewhere. So I think that this is something that we're just going to have to watch. Again, I think it's incredibly likely that we see gas prices after, a brief dip here, start to rebound in the latter half of the summer. But, there's part of me that looks at this and is I don't know. Things are moving different. Is there something that everyone is missing on this? And is that not going to be the case? Maybe, but I can't see what it is personally. And maybe I'm just not plugged in enough to be able to tell what it is. But the math that we're doing on this is basic subtraction.
Right. I mean, I have a tough time envisioning how that, explosion of price doesn't happen this summer. But I also have a very difficult time justifying how we're at such a low price for oil and gasoline right now. And so, both of those things contradict my understanding of how these oil markets should be working right now. And so who's to say precisely what's going to happen next?
So we'll continue to see how things go. Again, maybe we get some movement on a deal this weekend. Maybe we get some movement on ships starting in, early next week. That would be welcome news. It still doesn't change what the short-term situation looks like because, again, the travel times just may mean that, this is going to be something that resolves over a period of months, not instantly. But you got to start somewhere, and it's better to start, today than tomorrow. And so we'll see where things go. Let's take a quick break. When we return, we've got Wall Street Watch next.
Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter @TFE Show. Breaking business news is always first, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network. Some of the biggest estate planning mistakes are the ones you don't even know you're making. At Cushing & Dolan, they've seen it all. Plans that aren't complete, that only rely on a will or lack of funding of a trust. These are the kind of mistakes that can lead to probate, unnecessary taxes, or even putting your assets at risk. As your life changes, so should your estate plan. Marriage, grandkids, new assets, and even changes in tax law can impact how your plan should be structured. That's why Cushing & Dolan created a brand new guide called Detour Ahead, Estate Planning Potholes to Avoid. It walks you through the most common and costly mistakes and how to help protect your assets, your family, and your future. Call 866-848-5699 to get your free copy today. That's 866-848-5699. Or you can request the guide online at legalexchangeshow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and/or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
In Massachusetts, summer starts at the farmer's market. Longer days, fuller tables, and the best local food coming in fresh each week. Find just-packed produce, responsibly raised meats, small batch cheeses, fresh-caught seafood, and thoughtfully made goods. It's where neighborhoods come together and local food shines. Stop by your market this season and support farmers and makers across the state. Sponsored by Mass Farmers Markets. Growing farmers markets across Massachusetts. Find your local market at massfarmersmarkets.org.
In a heartbeat, you could be the difference.
Smart collapsed from cardiac arrest.
9 out of 10 people who suffer cardiac arrest outside the hospital don't survive.
It took 30 minutes of chest compressions to finally feel a pulse.
Most of the time, it's because no one nearby performs CPR. But together, we can change that. Extraordinary things happen when people take action. A small step, a simple skill, a life-saving moment. HeartWalk brings communities together to create health and hope for every heartbeat. Every walker who joins HeartWalk, every dollar donated, means more people trained in CPR, more research, and more life-saving moments for everyone. Take the first step and register for your local HeartWalk. Extraordinary starts with you. Join HeartWalk today. Find your local HeartWalk at heartwalk.org.
Environmental nonprofit Ocean River Institute is working with communities to tackle climate change with nature-based solutions that feature slowing water down and building more soil with grasses and plants. Research indicates that people acting in their own neighborhoods can build an inch of soil in a year and slow sea level rise down by as much as 25%. Please visit oceanriver.org for more information on opportunities to make a difference and go the distance for savvy stewardship of a greener and bluer planet Earth.
Hi, this is Chuck and Mike from the Armstrong Advisory Group, and we have a guide available this month titled Consolidating Investment Accounts. Mike, how does someone end up with just this sprawl of different accounts over time?
We've all seen it before with family members or even ourselves, but according to the BLS these days, the average person stays at a job fewer than 4 years. And so imagine you're job hopping from place to place. You might have a retirement plan through there. And all of a sudden, a decade into your career, you could have 2 or 3 different retirement plans just from, changing jobs and taking that next promotion at a new place.
It doesn't even just happen with different retirement or investment accounts. It can happen with bank accounts or insurance policies. You can end up with stuff scattered everywhere.
Well, we all know that, that aunt or that family member that is always scouring for the best CD rate or interest rate on the savings account, or, has some money with this broker and this financial services company. And all of a sudden, you can be looking at a situation where over the years, you have a dozen different places where you keep assets, and that becomes more and more complicated to ensure that your spouse is on there, that you have beneficiaries aligned properly, and that you can actually monitor these things.
Folks, our guide is titled Consolidating Investment Accounts, and there are 2 ways that you can request it. The first is by calling 800-393-4001. The second is by going to armstrongadvisory.com. That phone number again is 800-393-4001, or you can request it online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. Time now for Wall Street Watch, tracking the stocks, the data, and the headlines driving markets so far today, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
On the final trading session of May, markets are extending their gains on news of a possible 60-day ceasefire extension between the U.S. and Iran, pending approval of President Trump. Wall Street's also witnessing yet another tech company staging a substantial rally. Right now, the Dow is up about 0.5%. S&P 500 is up 0.25%. NASDAQ up 0.2%. Russell 2000 selling off by about 1%. 10-year Treasury yield is flat at 4.449%. And oil down about 0.75%, trading at $88 a barrel. Well, Dell Technologies, that stock is rocketing 31% after the tech company hiked its full-year outlook, where its first quarter sales surged 88% for demand for its AI products. Other computer stocks included Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, Supermicro Computer, and HP are seeing significant gains in reaction to Dell's earnings. Meanwhile, Gap cut its sales outlook for the year after posting slowing sales for its Old Navy chain. That stock down by 16%. Another retailer in American Eagle Outfitters also seeing a loss of 13%. However, the company said its core brand isn't performing as well as management would like, where the segment's sales declined in the first quarter. According to Bloomberg, UBS has eliminated several hundred positions across operations in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, marking the latest wave of reductions tied to the acquisition of Credit Suisse 3 years ago. And several space stocks, including AST Space Mobile, EchoStar, and Rocket Lab, seeing losses on the day after Blue Origin rocket exploded on a launch pad during a ground test last night in Florida. I'm Tucker Silva, and that is Wall Street Watch.
Mike, we got a piece in the Boston Globe today. It's titled, "The Next Recession Could Be a Middle-Class Massacre." Subheader, "We're not ready for what's about to hit."
Ooh, scary.
What's going on with the middle class and a recession that is not showing up anywhere in the data?
So first things first, nobody should wish upon a recession. Recessions are just brutal.
They suck. We've forgotten because we haven't been through a real one in almost 20 years.
Yeah.
They are extraordinarily painful.
And permanently damaging.
Yes.
To all sorts of things. So nobody should wish for a recession. That's not what I'm doing here. But this article is bogus.
This article is hot garbage of the hottest, garbagest sense.
So I want to quote for a moment here because there's one piece that I can so easily refute that it's just laughable. To compound matters, the buffers that eased past downturns are thinner now. In previous slumps, households could draw on built-up home equity to stay afloat. Today, much of that equity has already been borrowed against through home equity lines of credit. No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. Home equity right now is at a record level. The highest we've ever been was Q2 of 2025. We are just below that. It's estimated that right now, the percentage of home equity that people have in their homes is approximately 70% of the home's value, which is the highest we have seen since the 1950s. So don't tell me that we have no options to draw upon home equity when we are literally sitting near all-time levels of dollar amounts available in our homes to borrow against. Not that you should, but it's just provably false. You can look the data up yourself, by the way. The St. Louis Fed has a nice little data point of households, owners' equity, and real estate level, but, Realtor.com publishes this stuff all the time. Any concerns about the housing market do not exist right now. So I will start there with just no.
I'm going to continue with the garbage because, honestly, this piece is just pure poppycock. And there's all these links in it because it's written online, so you gotta have links to stuff, man. You gotta link all the crap. So it starts with leading economists warn, and there's a link on the word warn. It's a guy, Gary Schilling, who predicted the 1969 to 70 recession, saying that we might see one now. Okay, great. Like, that's useful. Then there's another link for
leading economist.
There's another word for another downturn, which is talking about Moody Analytics chief economist Mark Zandi said there's a 40% chance of recession this year.
So less than a coin flip. Got it.
That also, this is no different from 2022 when, we were getting these kinds of predictions and recession didn't materialize. Other things. The International Monetary Fund projects inflation could reach 6% next year. Yes, this is talking about global inflation, not U.S. inflation.
Nor would that necessarily be recessionary.
Okay.
You get 6% recession because you get 6% inflation because the world is not in recession.
Let me continue. Yeah. Let me continue, because I'm fired up about this piece. Wall Street hasn't received the memo. Oh, did someone forget to deliver the memo to Wall Street? Earlier this month, the S&P hit a record 7230. Well, guess what? Now it's at 7,500, and the reason why is because the earnings estimates keep going through the roof because of the AI trend that's going on. And yes, it might be a bubble, and eventually it's going to, pop. But that doesn't mean that you're going into recession just because stocks are going up. They're not ignoring anything. In fact, they're paying attention to earnings, which is what they should be paying attention to.
Yep.
So there's that. Other things that you're seeing. Mass layoffs in finance, media, and consulting have become the norm.
No, they haven't.
No, they haven't. We're seeing the layoff rate at exactly the same as it's been for the last 5 years.
You just can't. What happened to citing sources for your claims that
Mike, they are citing sources. They're just misinterpreting what they're saying. Actually, that's the worst part. Is they're citing all of this stuff and being like, "Oh, this means that the middle class is going to get decimated when the recession comes." So
let's lay it out, Chuck. I don't think you or I would debate. Is it possible that we're in a recession next year?
Next year? Sure, it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible.
Of course it is.
It's always possible. And there are legitimate problems with what could happen if we do enter a recession right now because of the way our government is spending money. So in previous recessions, what you did, the playbook that's been developed over the last 50 to 100 years has been, hey, if you go into a real recession where unemployment bumps up and economic activity stalls, then the government has a role to play of expanding services and spending in order to prevent it from getting really bad and damaging the economy permanently. And so during recessions of past times, you see that. Deficits go up because tax receipts go down and spending goes up in order to spend your way out of the recession. And arguably, we've done better jobs of doing that better and worse jobs of doing that during different periods of time. The problem that we face now is that for the last 4 years, since 2020, we've been running deficits to GDP that were historically unheard of outside of really bad recessions or war.
Yeah.
In 2025, we ran a deficit to GDP that was 5.76%. You did not see anything like that for any extended period of time outside of World War II. And maybe the Great Recession, but even that, that spending didn't last terribly long. And so if you want to make the argument that, hey, if we fall into a recession, the United States can't afford to print the money out of it without sparking a whole bunch of inflation, I'll happily have that debate. But giving me this baloney about how the average American household just is worse prepared for a recession today and it's just looming on our doorstep, man, the evidence does not pile up in your favor of that argument.
I just want to talk about more of the stuff that's in here. Quote, more than 1 in 4 Americans have nothing set aside for emergencies. Okay, that's basically been the case since I've been in this business. I'm not saying that that's good, but what I'm saying is that doesn't mean that this is going to be worse.
Equally sucky.
Right, recessions suck. They always suck. When the next one comes, it's not going to be uniquely worse for the middle class, especially because of anything that's in this piece. So, I'm sorry. This is pure fear-mongering. There is nothing we are seeing in the economic data right now that is pointing to recession, in my opinion. And I say this to someone, look, if you've listened to our show all spring, y'all know that I'm concerned about where gas prices can go this summer. How many times have you heard me say I'm worried about recession this summer? The answer is probably 0, maybe
No, it is 0. You've never said that.
Okay, thank you. So
Tucker records you every day.
That is true. Tucker does listen to everything that we say. Again, I very much have things that I am nervous about in the U.S. economy as we go through the next 3 to 6 months.
And especially the stock market.
Recession is not one that's my base case. Do you always have to keep in the back of your mind something unexpected could happen? Sure, of course. But unemployment claims remain low. Continuing claims are actually dropping relative to last year and the year before. You've got housing that is slow and steady. It's not doing anything exciting, but it can't really fall apart more than it already has. in the last 4 years because of higher interest rates. You've got this AI bubble that is moving things forward. And yes, I called it a bubble because eventually we're going to stop seeing semiconductor spending growing by like 70 to 80% a year. That can't continue forever. Again, there's no signs that it's slowing down now, so I'm not really worried about the next 6 months in that regard. And so I look at, the overall setup and I say, yeah, at a certain point, maybe if gas prices get high enough for long enough, could it cause some gnarliness? Yeah, but you got to kind of prove it that you're going to actually get there first. And so you obviously have to, keep an open mind that, look, something unexpected could happen. But, man, like, people have been trying to will recessions into – people just love – it's like the people that get upset when, like, a hurricane isn't a Category 5. It's like, oh, I thought this was going to be it. What, you want to root for, like, people dying? Like, go, like, do something else. Go read a book or something, man. Go, like, outside and pick a flower and smell it. Don't root for a recession just so you can be like, ha, I told you it was coming. Like, no, recessions suck and you should never root for them. If they develop, we'll tell you. Like the second half of last year, we said, hey, there's some concerning things in the labor market. Let's watch and see how they develop. Things have gotten better. We've told you that. If they had continued to get worse, we would tell you that too. But wait for the recession to actually happen before you freak out, because if you just go by what you read, I think we've had 48 recessions in the last 5 years. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, let's talk about what are we going to do?
Todd Lutzke's going to join us on the other side.
Oh, he is?
Yes.
That's wonderful.
That's what the schedule says.
I'm reading it right now, and it's great. It's a good schedule. We'll talk to Todd when we return.
Good. Subscribe now to our YouTube page, where you'll find daily interviews and full shows of the Financial Exchange. We'll get you caught up on anything and everything you might have missed right here on the Financial Exchange. It's important to update your estate plan as changes occur in your life, or you can wind up with significant issues that may affect your future. Get Cushing & Dolan's new guide called Detour Ahead, Estate Planning Potholes to Avoid. Call 866-848-5699 and get your copy today, or request it online at legalexchangeshow.com. The proceeding was paid for, and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and/or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Hi, I'm Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. The DAV of Massachusetts provides thousands of hours of voluntary services at our VA medical centers and soldiers' homes, and is the only DAV department in the country to lead a veterans housing initiative for both single veterans and those with families. These programs are critical to serving our veterans in their time of need. You can help our great American heroes by making a donation today. Please visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. One of the biggest challenges in financial planning is seeing the full picture. When your investments are spread across multiple accounts, it can be difficult to know how much you actually have and whether your strategy is really working. You might be taking on more risk than you realize, or missing opportunities to better align your portfolio. Bringing your accounts together can help create clarity so you can see your total assets, your true allocation, and make more informed decisions about your financial future. Our new guide is called Consolidating Investment Accounts. It walks you through how to get organized, simplify your strategy, and build a more complete financial plan. Call 800-393-4001 to get your free copy today. That's 800-393-4001, or you can request the guide by visiting armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
For many families, an energy bill can mean difficult choices, wondering when or even how it will get paid. It shouldn't be that way. For more than 40 years, Citizens Energy has helped families afford life's basic needs. First, through Joe for Oil, and now through Joe for Sun. A simple way to save on electricity at no cost to you. No installation, no equipment, and you keep your utility company. We keep it simple and help you lower your utility bill. Call 1-855-JOE-FOR-SUN or visit citizensenergy.com to see if you qualify.
Sponsored by Citizens Energy.
Our Senators Edward Markey and Elizabeth Warren and Representative Lori Trahan are standing up for radio listeners like us by supporting legislation to keep AM radio in cars. They know the value of local radio in times of emergency. Now it's time for Congress to finish the job and pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act. Learn more at dependonam.com. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
When a heart stops, the clock starts. You are the first responder until help arrives. In that moment, 4 minutes equals brain damage. 6 minutes equals too late in an emergency. The first responder is you. We need you. Will you be ready? Learn CPR. Visit heart.org/nation. That's heart.org/nation.
Let's talk LDL. AKA bad cholesterol. The higher your LDL cholesterol, the higher your risk of a heart attack or stroke. Your health matters. Know your number. Talk to your doctor and get your cholesterol checked. And learn how to help lower your LDL bad cholesterol. Because your health is in your hands. Find out more at heart.org/LDL.
Text us 617-362-1385 with your comments and questions about today's show. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
All right, Mike, we got a piece here in the Wall Street Journal. It's titled The Record Divide Between Corporate Profits and Worker Pay. Quoting here, worker compensation, wages, and benefits grew 0.8% in the first quarter from the fourth, while domestic corporate profits jumped 2.7%. As a result, labor's share of gross domestic income, conceptually similar to GDP, sank to 51%, the lowest since records began in 1947. Profits climbed to 12.1%, the highest since 1950.
So there's two ways that a ratio like this can do something like this. One is worker income falling. Two is profit growing. We're experiencing the profit growing piece of this, not the worker income falling, which is a good silver lining. I don't know. I guess, how do you look at this? And do you look at this and say, is this a problem that, like, I guess, what's the point of bringing this to our attention?
Well, here's the thing. Isn't this kind of symbolic of why everyone thinks the economy sucks?
I don't know.
Like, don't people just feel like the economy's not working for them? And, well, actually, no. Here's what's interesting. Again, the polling on this is very consistent.
Yep.
If you ask people about their own financial situation, they generally say they're fine.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask people about their local economic situation, they say it's worse than how they're doing.
Yep.
And if you ask people about the national economy, they consistently say it's worse than the local economy.
Right.
So part of it, like, you look at it and it's kind of like, okay, like, people have this ego that protects them from thinking their situation's bad.
Yeah.
But they see so many bad things on the news that they think that the world, the U.S. economy is just always bad. So, like, some of it I take from that. But what I will say is the data that we do get, and like the actual data on, incomes and stuff like that, does show a growing divide between haves and have-nots. And this can indicate why that's happening and why people might just feel, unhappy with the overall economy. And I continue to think, look, corporate profits in and of itself going up are not bad. It is bad when those profits don't make their way back to the people who produce them in any meaningful way. And so, like, part of me looks at this as like, okay, if you want to resolve this in, like, the easiest, cleanest way, find ways to expand profit sharing or stock ownership plans for employees so they participate in these gains too.
Yeah, look, I think part of this comes down to, do you want to adopt policy, right? And that's the question that I was asking. Is this a problem that the government should be solving? I generally don't think so. But we have talked about how, look, capital gains are taxed at a different rate than income, and that is partly to blame for what we're seeing right now.
Hey, long-term care costs can reach thousands of dollars per month and can put a serious strain on your savings. Well, the experts at Cushing & Dolan often see families caught off guard by that reality. Without the right plan in place, those costs can quickly eat through a lifetime of your hard work. But here's the shocker. Many estate plans don't protect your assets from those expenses. The right strategy may involve specific types of trust designed to help protect your assets, but timing matters. Cushing & Dolan has a brand new guide called Detour Ahead: Estate Planning Potholes to Avoid. And May is winding down, folks. June 1st is Monday, so this is your last chance to get this guide. It breaks down some of the most common and costly mistakes people make and explains how to help protect your assets, your family, and your future. To get the guide, call 866-848-5699 to get your free copy today. Again, May is winding down. June 1st is Monday, so this is your last chance to get this guide. It's 866-848-5699, or you can request it from their website, legalexchangeshow.com.
The proceeding was paid for, and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and/or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing and Armstrong do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Dell reported earnings after the bell yesterday, and the stock is up 32% today. Again, just a monster move for the company. This on the back of their guidance that revenue for the fiscal year that ends in January of 27 will be $167 billion, including $60 billion from the sale of AI servers. That is topping analyst estimates of $142 billion by about 20%. So just a monster projection for Dell when it comes to where their business is going.
Yeah, they landed a military contract for $9.7 billion. But yeah, the story here is one of AI absorbing anything even modestly attached to the industry, and I think Dell falls into the same category as we've seen with others like Ford, Toto, Corning, and others that are being looped into this overall trade recently.
Let's take a quick break. We got a whole lot more to come on hour 2, and that'll be happening in just a little bit.
Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of women,
taking the lives of 1 in 3.
That's more than all forms of cancer combined.
For too long, heart disease and stroke have taken the lives of the women we love.
But we're not giving up because we have something better,
stronger, more powerful.
We have each other.
When we come together and go red,
the more power we have against our greatest health threat.
Visit goredforwomen.org today to learn more.
Sometimes we know what's next. Other times, it's impossible to know. Life can change in an instant. Don't be caught standing by the next time someone's heart stops. Knowing CPR gives you the ability to act and takes you from bystander to lifesaver. CPR is a life-saving skill. Join the nation of lifesavers today by learning CPR at heart.org/nation. National support for CPR education provided by Elevance Health Foundation.
This is Tucker Silva of the Financial Exchange Show, and I'm joined today by estate planning attorney Todd Lutzke with your Financial Exchange Quick Tip of the Day. And today we're talking about the top estate planning mistakes to avoid. Todd, what is the downside of adding your kids to your accounts or adding their names to your real estate deeds as a joint owner? Won't this avoid probate?
You're absolutely right. It would avoid probate, but there are better ways to avoid probate than just doing something simple, right? Simple isn't always better. Throwing a name on an account or adding a designated beneficiary or a joint owner on a piece of property might not be the best way to go. Here's the problem. If you name one of your children as a joint owner and you have 3 children and you put that child on just because it's convenient and they're geographically close to you, well, you could be accidentally disinheriting your other children because this property, this asset will only go to that child. That child doesn't have to give it to the other kids. So that's a problem. And if you put your name, if you add a child's name to your
your real estate, now you're exposing it to that child's creditors, that child's potential divorces. That's never good. And plus, you've lost control over it. If you try to sell it, you need that kid's permission, and half the money would go to that kid. Please, folks, set up a trust, fund your trust much better than just trying to do it shorthanded and just give away assets or adding names to accounts.
Todd Lutzke and the estate planning experts at Cushing & Dolan have written a brand new guide that details the estate planning blunders to avoid. You can request this brand new guide by calling 866-848-5699. That's 866-848-5699, or you can request it from their website, legalexchangeshow.com.
The proceeding was paid for, and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing and Armstrong do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
This is the Money Matters Radio Network, WBNW 1120 AM and W275 CM FM. Concord, Boston, the Money Matters Radio Network.
For many hardworking families and retirees, an energy bill comes with an impossible choice. Paying the bills, putting food on your table, and keeping your family warm in winter and your home cool for the summer. But it shouldn't be that way. For more than 40 years, Citizens Energy has made one simple promise: to help households afford life's basic needs. Through Joe for Oil, we help neighbors through the coldest winter nights. Now, we're building on that same promise with Joe for Sun, a new way to save on electricity year-round. Our solar projects are already in communities across Massachusetts and New York, helping thousands of households save money. For many families, that means saving up to 50% on electricity. No installation, no equipment, and you keep your utility company. Like my dad's program before, we keep it simple, helping lower your utility bill through community solar at no cost to you. Call 1-855-JOE-FOR-SUN or visit citizensenergy.com to see if you qualify. You've trusted Citizens Energy to show up when it matters most. We're still here, ready to help.
Sponsored by Citizens Energy.
Environmental nonprofit Ocean River Institute is working with communities to tackle climate change with nature-based solutions that feature slowing water down and building more soil with grasses and plants. Research indicates that people acting in their own neighborhoods can build an inch of soil in a year and slow sea level rise down by as much as 25%. Please visit oceanriver.org for more information on opportunities to make a difference and go the distance for savvy stewardship of a greener and bluer planet Earth.
Let's talk LDL. AKA bad cholesterol. The higher your LDL cholesterol, the higher your risk of a heart attack or stroke. Your health matters. Know your number. Talk to your doctor and get your cholesterol checked. And learn how to help lower your LDL bad cholesterol. Because your health is in your hands. Find out more at heart.org/LDL.
Our Senators Edward Markey and Elizabeth Warren and Representative James McGovern are standing up for radio listeners like us by supporting legislation to keep AM radio in cars. They know the value of local radio in times of emergency. Now it's time for Congress to finish the job and pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act. Learn more at dependonam.com. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
This is Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. The DAV of Massachusetts has helped me and countless others adjust to civilian life through a variety of incredible programs. Through our local Veterans Assistance Program, we provide necessary services to veterans and their communities, such as food shopping, landscaping, and companionship, but we need your support. You can help by making a donation today. Please visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
Hi, this is Chuck and Mike from the Armstrong Advisory Group, and we have a guide this month titled Consolidating Investment Accounts. Mike, what are some of the problems that people run into when they have accounts scattered everywhere?
The first one is just difficult to maintain and monitor. I can't tell you how many times I've met with somebody who has a life insurance policy that still has their brother on it instead of their wife or their husband, for example. So it does become really tough to monitor those things. If you're getting to required minimum distribution age, there can be certain rules around where you take money out of specific accounts, and if you miss it, there can be tax penalties. So it just becomes complicated to administer everything.
Despite that, there are still some cases where it makes sense to maintain a number of separate accounts as opposed to consolidating.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we all know cases where, hey, that new bank is going to give you a better CD rate or introductory rate, and that can be worth real money. In other cases, if you have a retirement plan, there can be special benefits to keeping the money there. Maybe it is a excellent plan with really low costs. Maybe it'll allow you to avoid a required minimum distribution if you're still working into your 70s. Or there can be other strategies too, having money in a retirement plan and allowing you to do what's called a backdoor Roth conversion, all sorts of things that allow you to take advantage of having accounts in specific places.
Folks, the guide is titled Consolidating Investment Accounts, and there are 2 ways to request it. The first is by calling 800-393-4001. The second, by going to armstrongadvisory.com. That number again is 800-393-4001, or request it online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. The Financial Exchange is produced by Money Matters Radio and is hosted by employees of the Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. All opinions expressed are solely those of the hosts, do not reflect the opinions of Armstrong Advisory or anyone else. Investments can lose money. This program does not offer any specific financial or investment advice. Please consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong Advisory and the advertisers heard on this program do not endorse each other or their services. Armstrong and Money Matters Radio do not compensate each other for referrals and are not affiliated.
This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Mike Armstrong. Your exclusive look at business and financial news affecting your day, your city, your world. Stay informed and up to date about economic and market trends, plus breaking business news every day. The Financial Exchange is a proud partner of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. Help us support our great American heroes by visiting dav5k.boston and making a donation today. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Mike Armstrong.
Chuck, Mike, and Tucker with you, and we've got stocks up modestly starting the day here. The S&P's up about 0.25%, 17 points. The Dow is up 340 points, about 0.2%. The NASDAQ Composite is up 39 points, about 0.15%. So all 3 of your major U.S. indices are in the green to kick things off here. 10-year Treasury is down 1.4 basis points to 4.441%. 30-year Treasury also back below 5% as of yesterday. We don't really talk about the 30-year very much because, quite honestly, almost no one actually trades it outside of some insurance companies and pension systems. So the 10-year is what we typically reference. Dollar index is down 0.2% to 98.77. We've got gold up 66.60 an ounce to 45.99. And crude oil, West Texas Intermediate, down another $1.34 a barrel overnight, or not overnight, I guess during the day, to 87.56. AAA national average for gas prices down another 3 cents overnight as well to 439 1/10. So we're about 16, 17 cents off of the highs that we've seen here. And based on where gas futures and crude oil futures are, there's a chance that over the next week or two, maybe you get down into that 420 to 425 range. So there's a little bit more room to run over the first week or two of June. Obviously, this is all going to be contingent on what happens in the Middle East. President Trump, about, when was this here? Maybe 10 minutes ago? 16 minutes ago, made the following post on Truth Social. I'll quote here. Iran must agree they will never have a nuclear weapon or bomb. The Hormuz Strait must be immediately opened. No tolls for unrestricted shipping traffic in both directions. All water mines, if any, will be terminated. And Iran will complete the immediate removal and or detonation of any mines that are left, which will not be many. Ships caught in the strait due to our amazing and unprecedented naval blockade, which will now be lifted, may start the process of heading home. Say hello to your wives, husbands, parents, and families. From me, your favorite president. The enriched material, sometimes referred to as nuclear dust, which is buried deep underground with virtually collapsed mountains caused by our powerful B-2 bomber attack 11 months ago sitting on top of it, will be unearthed by the United States, which is agreed is the only country, along with China, with the mechanical capability of doing so. in close coordination in conjunction with the Islamic Republic of Iran, plus the International Atomic Energy Agency, and destroyed. No money will be exchanged until further notice. Other items of far less importance have been agreed to. I will be meeting now in the Situation Room to make a final determination. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So it might be that we get a deal announcement later today. Again, we would need confirmation from Iranian sources as well. But we'll see where things go. But that's the latest in terms of where things stand on a potential deal. We're maybe heading in that direction, and we'll have to see what it actually means for the Strait of Hormuz, because that's the big thing economically that is going to determine where things go over the course of the rest of this year.
I am unsure as to whether to take that post as good news or bad news.
I don't really know.
Right? It has some pretty...
we don't know what's in the deal, so
Right. It's pretty clear on the nuclear situation, which we know the president has put a lot of importance on. But it has also seemed like the U.S. and Iran are pretty far away on expectations on that. So, yeah.
The reporting has been that the nuclear stuff isn't included in the memorandum of understanding.
Right, which is why him posting about it in this Truth Social post kind of makes me sense maybe it's not a good news post if you're hoping for immediate opening of the Strait of Hormuz. But then again, the post also specifically cites reopening the Strait. So, yeah. I think we got to give this one a little bit more time.
I'm sorry, just to follow up on this, about 10 minutes ago, I don't know if you saw this report, Chuck. President Trump said on Friday that he's convening with his national security team in the White House Situation Room to make a final decision about the agreement reached between the U.S. and Iranian negotiators. That from Axios.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It's we'll see what happens. I don't know. It's maybe there's progress here, maybe there isn't, and I'm not going to claim that I know what's going to happen on it.
And oil prices are virtually unmoved on that post, too. So, I don't think anybody else has any better sense than we do about what it might mean.
Piece in the New York Times. Anthropic tops OpenAI to become the world's most valuable AI startup. They just went through another fundraising round where they raised an additional $65 billion in financing. That values the company, including that financing, at $965 billion. That puts it ahead of OpenAI's last valuation of $730 billion. And so there's a few things that are going on here. And again, trying to make sense out of all this is a little challenging because there's a lot of circularity in here. There's also this piece in the Wall Street Journal, and there were a couple things that came out to this effect yesterday. Corporate America is starting to ration AI as cost skyrockets. And specifically, there was reporting yesterday that some company ended up working through $500 million of AI spend in basically a quarter and had to stop things because they were like, no, we didn't realize this was going to get this expensive.
Oh, shoot.
You've also got OpenAI announced new pricing that takes effect, I believe, on Monday of next week. And so you've got some higher pricing that's coming through. And remember, the promise of AI is that it can do what your employees do. For the corporate side, it can do what your employees do more quickly and more cheaply.
And 24 hours a day.
I think that's part of the more quickly. It's like through doing that.
Yeah.
And if we get to a point where the only way that this stuff is profitable is with it being at cost relative to employees or higher cost, then the proposition doesn't necessarily make sense.
Yeah, Chuck, I was going to say, this story, the second one about corporate America starting to ration AI, is the type of scenario that pops the AI bubble.
An Uber executive said by March the company had blown through its annual budget for agentic AI use.
So, mechanically here, when we talk about what is driving this industry forward, it is the relentless spend that all these tech companies have been willing to put out because they see in the short term that companies are not rationing their costs when it comes to spending on artificial intelligence, learning how to use it, and having their employees test it. I'm unconvinced that a story in the Wall Street Journal is actually the signifier of the the top of that and the beginning of a new trend in AI where it's no longer, hey, you must use, the story would be, hey, you must use AI is now going to, you must ration how much AI you use, and we are going to judge your job performance on how well you're using AI and how efficiently you're using it. I'm not convinced that we're seeing that play out right now, but if we are, then it does raise some pretty big questions about the valuations of everyone in the AI supply chain, from semiconductor makers all the way up to model creators.
Mike, you ever think about long-term care insurance?
All the time. Why do you ask?
So, I'm just having this flashback to, the 1990s when long-term care insurance became big, and all the companies put out these pricing models of, we can price this at X because, this is the uptake that we're going to get, and here's the lapses that we're going to see in policies. And then they didn't see those lapses, and so in the 2000s and 2010s, they had all these additional claims. And what they ended up doing was raising the costs by not just doubling, we're talking tripling and quadrupling of annual premiums in order to make the money work.
Right.
And I bring this up just because, let's say that you're a company and you decide, hey, we see the promise of, agentic solutions. We're going to lay off, a bunch of our workforce, and okay, we can do all of this. The workforce we're laying off cost us, $100 million a year. We can do this for $50 million a year using agentic AI. What if you're so committed to that, and there's so few companies that provide those solutions? What if in order for those to be profitable for them, 2 years down the road, they come back and say, hey, we got to jack your rates up by 300%. And now instead of paying $50 million a year for that, you're paying $200 million, which is more than you were paying your people before.
Right.
And I just wonder about the risk that's present there. But then I also try to rationalize that with the fact that, look, these models are being commoditized, which means there are fewer differences between them, and pricing should collapse on commoditized models. But how do prices collapse on commoditized models if the inputs to them are still going parabolic? Meaning memory prices are going up, GPU prices are going up, this and that.
Yeah, the rationing has to happen first. So the price won't go down because of feared rationing.
No.
The rationing, the demand part has to come down, at which point those valuations crater, a bunch of companies go out of business.
That's where things start to pop.
Sorry, what starts to pop?
That's where. So it's
the bubble. Yes.
The sequencing is companies say, no, the prices are too high. We've got to cut our spend.
Right.
Then the models say, well, to keep you, we'll cut our costs.
Right.
But they also then have to go to the data center providers and say, we need cheaper contracts here. And then the data centers have to say, we need cheaper chips and other inputs.
Right. So that's the mechanics. The question is, are we there anytime soon?
It doesn't feel like we're there yet.
No, but this story from the Wall Street Journal, which I think is an interesting one to mark, and is talking to executives of real companies, I do think pretty well. They don't lay out the bubble popping argument, but I think it lays out what would be the beginning stages of it if you were to see it.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we've got trivia next.
The Financial Exchange streams every day live on YouTube. Subscribe to our page and follow the markets all morning long. Only here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network. Long-term care costs can reach thousands of dollars per month and can put a serious strain on your savings. The experts at Cushing & Dolan often see families caught off guard by that reality. Without the right plan in place, those costs can quickly eat through a lifetime of your hard work. But here's the shocker. Many estate plans don't protect your assets from those expenses. The right strategy may involve specific types of trusts designed to help protect your assets, but timing matters. Cushing & Dolan has a brand new guide called Detour Ahead, Estate Planning Potholes to Avoid. It breaks down some of the most common and costly mistakes people make and explains how to help protect your assets, your family, and your future. Call 866-848-5699 to get your free copy today. That's 866-848-5699. Or you can request the guide online at LegalExchangeShow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and/or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Hi, this is Chuck from the Armstrong Advisory Group. If your financial life feels scattered, you're not alone. Over time, it's easy to end up with accounts in different places. Old retirement plans, different banks, multiple apps. It's what we call account sprawl. When you've got your money across the spectrum, things can get missed, like overlapping investments, and bringing everything into focus allows you to spend less time tracking accounts and more time making smart decisions. Our new guide is called Consolidating Investment Accounts, and it may offer strategies that can simplify your overall financial picture. Call 800-393-4001 to get your free copy today. That's 800-393-4001, or you can request the guide at armstrongadvisory.com. That's armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
Our Senators Edward Markey and Elizabeth Warren and Representative Jake Auchincloss are standing up for radio listeners like us by supporting legislation to keep AM radio in cars. They know the value of local radio in times of emergency. Now it's time for Congress to finish the job and pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act. Learn more at dependonam.com. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
As a busy mom to 4 kids, my to-do list is full.
Trying to fit in exercise, eating right, and prioritizing self-care can feel next to impossible.
While we can't add more hours to the day, we do have a great resource to help.
Go Red for Women has easy tips, tools, and information to help you and your family live a healthier life.
So to all the moms, the aunts, grandmothers, and amazing women out there doing it all,
visit goredforwomen.org/momlife today.
You take care of them, Go Red for Women will take care of you.
In a heartbeat, you could be the difference.
Mark collapsed from cardiac arrest.
9 out of 10 people who suffer cardiac arrest outside the hospital don't survive.
It took 30 minutes of chest compressions to finally feel a pulse.
Most of the time, it's because no one nearby performs CPR. But together, we can change that. Extraordinary things happen when people take action. A small step, a simple skill, a life-saving moment. HeartWalk brings communities together to create health and hope for every heartbeat. Every walker who joins HeartWalk, every dollar donated, means more people trained in CPR, more research, and more life-saving moments for everyone. Take the first step and register for your local HeartWalk. Extraordinary starts with you. Join HeartWalk today. Find your local HeartWalk at heartwalk.org.
Hear the Financial Exchange every day from 11 to noon on SiriusXM's Business Radio Channel 132. Keep it here for the latest business and financial news and the trends on Wall Street. The Financial Exchange is now live on SiriusXM's Business Radio Channel 132. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Remember, you can watch the show live every day on our YouTube page. Well, breaking business news and all of our content is also archived. So if you want to go back and see an interview or a particular discussion, it's all there with the click of a button. Just search the Financial Exchange on YouTube and be sure to hit that subscribe button. Time for trivia here on the Financial Exchange. Where'd it go? Today is John F. Kennedy's birthday at 43 years old. JFK is the youngest person to be elected U.S. president. However, he is not the youngest to ever serve as U.S. president. So our trivia question today, who is the youngest U.S. president in history? Once again, who is the youngest U.S. president in history? Be the 7th person to text us at 617-362-1385 with the correct answer, along with the keyword trivia, and you'll win a Financial Exchange Show t-shirt. Once again, the 7th correct response to text us to the number 617-362-1385 with the correct answer, along with the keyword trivia, will win that t-shirt. See complete contest rules at financialexchangeshow.com.
Hey, Chuck, we got a text during the first hour of the show that I thought we would get to, if you don't mind.
Sure, would love to.
So we were talking at the moment about this phenomenon where when you ask people about their financial situation, much like when you ask them about their ability to be a good driver, more than you would expect, say, their financial situation is actually pretty good, but the national situation is horrific. Somebody texted into the show, I see differently. People who say their personal situation is fine probably have worked hard to prepare for the future. Massachusetts is not in good shape. I think the point that we're making here is data that we get on individuals' financial situation indicates that in a lot of cases it's not very good. And yet people's opinions of their own situations when you do polling is consistently higher than what you see in the data. And so, yeah, it could be some random situation where people actually are preparing well, but I think it tends to be this bias that we all have to say that we are in better shape than on average we might be, right? And we see the same phenomenon outside of financial stuff, right? We see the same thing when you ask people, are you above average in terms of your driving capabilities? And I think 70 or 80% of people say that that's the case. In terms of Massachusetts being not in good shape, I think that's an interesting argument to make, right? So the national unemployment rate is lower than what we're experiencing in Massachusetts. What's the national average right now, Chuck, for unemployment? 4.3?
Yes.
So Massachusetts is right now sitting at 4.7. That's about nowhere near the top where D.C. and Nevada are. Nevada's at 5.3. District of Columbia is at 6.2%. But we are in the upper third of the unemployment situation here in Massachusetts. And what's been an interesting question, knocking around my brain is, hey, in previous recessions when things got pretty ugly, you had these segments of the Massachusetts workforce, biotech, education, that make up such a big chunk of it that you kind of you weathered through the storm better than other parts of the country. And yeah, I've been pondering whether or not that will consistently be the case in this region the next time around. Hey, is healthcare, biotech, and education such a good insulator in 2026 as it was in 2008, for example?
Yeah, it's very consistent. The data that I'll cite here is from Gallup. They do a poll every year where they ask people, hey, tell us how your personal financial situation is. And what we see, like, just as an example, in 2007, 50% of Americans, so this is pre-financial crisis, 50% of Americans said that their situation was better off than a year ago. 30% said worse off, and 19% said the same. In 2009, this is May 2009. So
when
this is
pretty much arguably 90% of people's financial situations were worse off than they were a year ago.
Yes. Only 54% of people replied saying that they were worse off than a year ago.
Yeah, which is just factually...
The rest were either better or the same.
Right.
Now, they also ask, okay, what did you see from, the broader economy? And what you generally see from just about every poll is that, people consistently say the broader economy is worse than my personal financial situation. And look, there's probably an ego thing related to this.
It's the American spirit right there.
Quite honestly, it is.
Yeah.
The economy might not be good, but you can't keep me down.
Right.
And it's pretty awesome, actually. I kind of like that. I really respect that it's hey, the economy's terrible, but look how well I'm doing.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I can get behind that. It might be delusional in 2009, but I don't know. Sometimes you need to believe in yourself before you can actually get to where you want to go. And so I think that's kind of great, to be honest.
Yeah. It's hard to define, but I think there's something about the American optimism that has led to leads to some bad things too in terms of our savings rate and preparedness for financial disaster, but it does lead to risk taking and all sorts of things here in the United States that kind of define our capitalism moment of the last 100 years.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting looking into this and trying to glean insights out of it, because the dominant thing in U.S. economic polling is the economy's bad, but I'm going to do okay, at least like to a certain extent. Again, let's take a quick break here. And when we come back, we've got the trivia answer, and we've got Wall Street Watch next.
Bringing the latest financial news straight to your radio every day. It's the Financial Exchange on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Our Senators Edward Markey and Elizabeth Warren and Representative Stephen Lynch are standing up for radio listeners like us by supporting legislation to keep AM radio in cars. They know the value of local radio in times of emergency. Now it's time for Congress to finish the job and pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act. Learn more at dependonam.com. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
In Massachusetts, summer starts at the farmer's market. Longer days, fuller tables, and the best local food coming in fresh each week. Find just-packed produce, responsibly raised meats, small batch cheeses, fresh-caught seafood, and thoughtfully made goods. It's where neighborhoods come together and local food shines. Stop by your market this season and support farmers and makers across the state. Sponsored by Mass Farmers Markets. Growing farmers markets across Massachusetts. Find your local market at massfarmersmarkets.org.
Long-term care costs can reach thousands of dollars per month and can put a serious strain on your savings. The experts at Cushing & Dolan often see families caught off guard by that reality. Without the right plan in place, those costs can quickly eat through a lifetime of your hard work. But here's the shocker. Many estate plans don't protect your assets from those expenses. The right strategy may involve specific types of trusts designed to help protect your assets, but timing matters. Cushing & Dolan has a brand new guide called Detour Ahead, Estate Planning Potholes to Avoid. It breaks down some of the most common and costly mistakes people make and explains how to help protect your assets, your family, and your future. Call 866-848-5699 to get your free copy today. That's 866-848-5699. Or you can request the guide online at legalexchangeshow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and/or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
For many hardworking families and retirees, an energy bill comes with an impossible choice. Paying the bills, putting food on your table, and keeping your family warm in winter and your home cool for the summer. But it shouldn't be that way. For more than 40 years, Citizens Energy has made one simple promise: to help households afford life's basic needs. Through Joe for Oil, we help neighbors through the coldest winter nights. Now, we're building on that same promise with Joe for Sun, a new way to save on electricity year-round. Our solar projects are already in communities across Massachusetts and New York, helping thousands of households save money. For many families, that means saving up to 50% on electricity. No installation, no equipment, and you keep your utility company. Like my dad's program before, we keep it simple, helping lower your utility bill through community solar at no cost to you. Call 1-855-JOE-FOR-SUN or visit citizensenergy.com to see if you qualify. You've trusted Citizens Energy to show up when it matters most. We're still here, ready to help.
Sponsored by Citizens Energy.
This is Tucker Silva of the Financial Exchange Show, and I'm joined today by estate planning attorney Todd Lutzke with your Financial Exchange Quick Tip of the Day. And today we're talking about the top estate planning mistakes to avoid. Todd, what is the downside of adding your kids to your accounts or adding their names to your real estate deeds as a joint owner? Won't this avoid probate?
You're absolutely right. It would avoid probate, but there are better ways to avoid probate than just doing something simple, right? It's not, simple isn't always better. Throwing a name on an account or adding a designated beneficiary or a joint owner on a piece of property might not be the best way to go. Here's the problem. If you name one of your children as a joint owner and you have 3 children and you put that child on just because it's convenient and they're geographically close to you, well, you could be accidentally disinheriting your other children because this property, this asset will only go to that child. That child doesn't have to give it to the other kids. So that's a problem. And if you put your name, if you add a child's name to your your real estate, now you're exposing it to that child's creditors, that child's potential divorces. That's never good. And plus, you've lost control over it. If you try to sell it, you need that kid's permission, and half the money would go to that kid. Please, folks, set up a trust, fund your trust much better than just trying to do it shorthanded and just give away assets or adding names to accounts.
Todd Lutzke and the estate planning experts at Cushing & Dolan have written a brand new guide that details the estate planning blunders to avoid. You can request this brand new guide by calling 866-848-5699. That's 866-848-5699, or you can request it from their website, legalexchangeshow.com.
The proceeding was paid for, and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing and Armstrong do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Time now for Wall Street Watch, tracking the stocks, the data, and the headlines driving markets so far today, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Markets continue to trade in positive territory after President Trump said he is meeting in the Situation Room to make a final determination to approve a ceasefire deal with Iran. Investors are also seeing yet another major rally from a tech company. Right now, the Dow is up over 0.75%, S&P 500 up about 0.33%, NASDAQ also up about 0.33% or 84 points higher, Russell 2000 selling off about 0.75%, 10-year Treasury yield down 2 basis points at 4.43%, and oil is retreating 2%, trading at $87 a barrel. Dell Technologies rocketing 30% higher after the tech company hiked its full-year outlook, where its first quarter sales surged 88% on demand for AI products. Meanwhile, Gap cut its sales outlook for the year after posting slowing sales for its Old Navy chain. That stock is down by 17%. Another retailer in American Eagle Outfitters is also seeing a loss of 12% after the company said its core brand isn't performing as well as management would like, where the segment sales fell in the first quarter. And several space stocks, including AST, Space Mobile, EchoStar, and Rocket Lab, seeing losses on the day after a Blue Origin rocket exploded on a launch pad during a ground test last night in Florida. I'm Tucker Silva, and that is Wall Street Watch. And in the previous segment, we asked you the trivia question. Who is the youngest U.S. president in history? That would be, of course, Teddy Roosevelt. And Bob from Wilmington, Mass. is our winner today, taking home a Financial Exchange Show t-shirt. Congrats to Bob. We play trivia every day here on the Financial Exchange. See complete contest rules at financialexchangeshow.com.
Teddy Roosevelt might have to be in my, list of 4 historical figures to have dinner with.
Yeah.
He's got to be. I mean, you'd get some great stories from him.
Mm-hmm.
But, the dude did everything.
Yeah.
I mean, he was basically like Michelangelo of, the 1900s and late 1800s. Not as good of a painter, but maybe a better sculptor.
How do you know that?
I'm giving him credit where
Teddy
credit's
could
due.
paint.
Teddy could, okay. But there's a reason why Michelangelo is Michelangelo.
Yeah.
Let's see. What do you want to get to, Mike? What's catching your eye here?
Let's talk SpaceX, because everyone is, I don't know. I feel as though I'm hearing a lot of interest in what's going to happen here. Obviously, yesterday you had the failed Blue Origin rocket that, again, no loss of life here, so fortunately there. But Blue Origin lost a rocket in explosion on its launch pad, and you've got SpaceX now targeting an IPO here in 2 weeks. We're getting very close.
We're getting out there.
For general information out here, they're going to start their official is the roadshow or the marketing of the IPO, I think, on June 4th, and we are now talking about what is very likely to be the largest IPO ever. It's looking like they're targeting a valuation of $1.8 trillion with a T dollars, and of that valuation, though, they are only offering $75 billion worth of shares, which, again, $75 billion worth of shares is the largest IPO of all time, but it's a fraction of the ownership of the overall company.
Sure.
And there are a lot of different things that make this IPO just incredibly unique in the structure of the company itself, too.
I think look, here's the thing. No one knows how this thing's going to end up, going off when it initially does, because it's such a light float and because of what they're trying to do with index inclusion. There's a pretty good chance that it does, just fine, like at the beginning. I think even, look, you can make a convincing case that, hey, if there's one thing Elon Musk is really good at doing, it's keeping, elevated valuations for his companies,
Sure.
even in the face of, kind of stagnant growth. I mean, you look at Tesla just as an example. Tesla revenues have basically been flat for the last few years now. It's not like Tesla is a, rapidly growing company at this point in time. If you take a look at Tesla revenue, it's $97 billion over the last 12 months. It's the same place it was in June of 23.
Mm-hmm.
The revenue's grown an average of 1% a year since then. You take a look at net income, $4 billion. That is after a big spike in the early 20s. Their net income is basically the same place it was at in late 2021. Hasn't really moved in 5 years. And yet the stock price during this time, again, like you just look at where it has gone. The stock's at $4.34 a share right now, and in late 21 it was at $2.50. Even the stock, to be honest, like by early 22 it was up to $3.80. Tesla stock is up 10% over the last 4.5 years. I know it seems like that can't be true, but it is. Now, granted, Tesla stock has more than tripled since mid-23 when it, had plummeted for a while there. But over the last, 3.5 years, it really hasn't gone anywhere.
Yeah.
You could make a convincing case that SpaceX could do something similar. I mean, like, I know everyone likes to be like, oh, like, this isn't going to work. And I trust me, I'll tell you, like, you look at the valuations and you're like, whoa, like, they're going for that? But that's what Tesla's been doing as a publicly traded company for the last 5 or 6 years, is trading at crazy valuations. And sure, at some point the chickens may come home to roost, but it hasn't yet for Tesla shareholders. It's much more, the stock just hasn't really gone anywhere in the last 4 or 5 years. It's just been this choppy, volatile trading for that time period where it's, up 100%, down 50, back up 100, down another 40, like. That's kind of what we've seen from the profile of it since 2022.
It is our last show of the month here on the Financial Exchange, and thus the last chance to get a copy of our brand new guide from the Armstrong Advisory Group. If you've never worked with a loved one to hunt down accounts, or if you've ever been through a probate case over a few shares of a stock that was forgotten about, then this is the guide for you to better understand it. It's all about consolidating investment accounts, when to do it, when not to do it. And that's an important factor here, too, is that there are a lot of compelling reasons to consolidate things down and make your life simpler. But by doing so, you can give up on significant benefits, oftentimes through your employer plan or through banks that you might have business with. And so this guide is all about giving you the framework for how do I assess this situation, whether I'm doing it for myself, whether I am assisting a loved one with trying to figure this stuff out. It is complicated. It can lead to frustrations and problems down the road, like I said, especially if somebody passes away with account sprawl. So get our free guide, again, for the month of May. Only a couple days left in the month here to get your free copy. It's Consolidating Investment Accounts. It's available by calling us at 800-393-4001. You can request it online at armstrongadvisory.com. But again, 800-393-4001.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
Mike, did you happen to watch the video of that Blue Origin rocket blowing up yesterday?
I did not, no.
Oh, it's wild. It's very
a lot of different angles.
I would imagine so. It's a rocket exploding.
Well, like including from a Ring doorbell, which is pretty wild to see.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not great. This is something that NASA was trying to use as a second vendor for some of the Artemis missions and potential moon transport, and so this is a pretty big setback here.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they're able to square things away. Obviously, one thing you don't need to really worry about with Blue Origin is dollars. Jeff Bezos has enough of them to be able to pour whatever money is needed into this.
Sure.
And fix it. So money will be no object. But disappointing day, and just disappointing day for spaceflight overall. And as someone who does really enjoy just the overall idea of space exploration. Tough one, quite honestly, to see and watch this.
Again, fortunate, no loss of life.
Yes.
And I'm just going to. This is not a positive for anybody, but you do have to look at that and say, wow, it does put SpaceX as the really undisputed leader in this space right now.
Let's take a quick break. When we return, we're joined by Paul LaMonica from Barron's after this.
Remember, you can watch the show live every day on our YouTube page. We've got market updates and breaking business news all morning long, plus a full archive of all our show's content. It's all there with the click of a button at youtube.com/The Financial Exchange Show.
Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. One of the biggest challenges in financial planning is seeing the full picture. When your investments are spread across multiple accounts, it can be difficult to know how much you actually have and whether your strategy is really working. You might be taking on more risk than you realize or missing opportunities to better align your portfolio. Bringing your accounts together can help create clarity so you can see your total assets, your true allocation, and make more informed decisions about your financial future. Our new guide is called Consolidating Investment Accounts. It walks you through how to get organized, simplify your strategy, and build a more complete financial plan. Call 800-393-4001 to get your free copy today. That's 800-393-4001, or you can request the guide by visiting armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. It's important to update your estate plan as changes occur in your life, or you can wind up with significant issues that may affect your future. Get Cushing & Dolan's new guide called Detour Ahead, Estate Planning Potholes to Avoid. Call 866-848-5699 and get your copy today, or request it online at legalexchangeshow.com. The proceeding was paid for, and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and/or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Hi, I'm Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. The DAV of Massachusetts provides thousands of hours of voluntary services at our VA medical centers and soldiers' homes, and is the only DAV department in the country to lead a veterans housing initiative for both single veterans and those with families. These programs are critical to serving our veterans in their time of need. You can help our great American heroes by making a donation today. Please visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
Environmental nonprofit Ocean River Institute is working with communities to tackle climate change with nature-based solutions that feature slowing water down and building more soil with grasses and plants. Research indicates that people acting in their own neighborhoods can build an inch of soil in a year and slow sea level rise down by as much as 25%. Please visit oceanriver.org for more information on opportunities to make a difference and go the distance for savvy stewardship of a greener and bluer planet Earth.
For many families, an energy bill can mean difficult choices, wondering when or even how it will get paid. It shouldn't be that way. For more than 40 years, Citizens Energy has helped families afford life's basic needs. First through Joe for Oil, and now through Joe for Sun. A simple way to save on electricity at no cost to you. No installation, no equipment, and you keep your utility company. We keep it simple and help you lower your utility bill. Call 1-855-JOE-FOR-SUN or visit citizensenergy.com to see if you qualify.
Sponsored by Citizens Energy.
It happens all over Massachusetts.
Can you tie my shoes?
In every home and every community.
Be careful on your bike.
Learning can happen anytime, anywhere.
We'll see you at practice this weekend.
And no matter how learning takes place in your family's life, DESE is there as your partner. the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Never stop learning. Find out more at mass.gov/back-to-school.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department for Elementary and Secondary Education.
When a heart stops, the clock starts. You are the first responder until help arrives. In that moment, 4 minutes equals brain damage. 6 minutes equals too late in an emergency. The first responder is you. We need you. Will you be ready? Learn CPR. Visit heart.org/nation. That's heart.org/nation.
From breaking news to market analysis, follow the Financial Exchange Show on X and watch the show live every day. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, the weekend.
All right. As promised, we're now joined by Paul and Monica from Barron's, and we're going to be talking about a company that's near and dear to Paul's heart, I believe. Paul, how you doing today?
I'm good, thanks. Yes, we're talking about what stock again is it? Madison Square Garden Sports.
Talk to me about the Knicks. Before we even get there, what's the vibe down in New York in terms of excitement level for the Knicks?
Yeah, there. Needless to say, a lot of excitement given that it has been nearly 30 years since they've last been in the NBA Finals. So, I think a lot of fans are hopeful that this might finally be the time, and investors are clearly optimistic as well, with MSG Sports, which owns the Knicks franchise as well as the New York Rangers Hockey Club, at all-time highs.
So talk to me about, what do you actually own when you own MSG Sports? Are you an owner of the team? How does it actually work?
Yeah, I mean, you have, shares of a publicly traded company that owns the team. So I think it's not as clear as, say, having a stake in the team the way that fans of the Green Bay Packers can, publicly own their team. But you have that financial interest in the Knicks and the Rangers and some of the other teams as part of the Dolan Empire. It's a little convoluted because, the Dolans also have the MSGE stock, MSG Entertainment, which actually owns the Garden itself and the physical rights, above the Garden, which a lot of people feel, has a lot of attraction from a financial standpoint. So if you want to own the team per se, it's MSGS is the stock that you want. And, it is trading now at an all-time high. And I don't think it's just because of the Knicks and their success. It's the hopes that eventually there could maybe be a split of the Knicks and the Rangers. The company has talked about possibly splitting off the Rangers so that the Knicks are a public, pure play, stock. And, valuations for teams has gone up dramatically, with the Lakers recently being sold for about $10 billion. The Celtics recently sold, I believe, more than $6 billion. So there is clear-cut demand for sports franchises. And, I think that's just going to drive the Knicks valuation and MSGS higher.
So talk to me about that, because I've been looking at the stock, for the morning, just, trying to get ready and everything. And as you've noted, look, the stock has gone from a market cap of around $5 billion towards, the end of Q4 last year, now up to $9 billion. This is despite revenue not really moving at all for the last couple of years. So is this very much something that is idiosyncratic in that, hey, it's not really dependent on the underlying business, but more what other NBA or NHL franchises are selling for?
Yeah, I think that is a big part of it. With sports franchises, you've clearly seen the valuations going up in recent sales. And, I think that is what's, driving MSGS stock up as well. It's less about the fundamentals per se, and that might be a bit discomforting for investors who like to dig into the numbers and really kind of value things on a revenue and earnings basis. But sports franchises are unique, and the number of publicly traded sports franchises are also very unique. And then there's the media rights angle. Obviously, a lot of people are cognizant of the fact that ratings continue to be strong in an increasingly fragmented world. It's why you're seeing, I think, other sports-related stocks do well. Rogers Communications, which owns some of the Toronto teams. The Formula One stock that's part of Liberty Media has been a hit as well. So I think in general there is this scarcity value with sports that on Wall Street that has helped MSGS.
Is there any way you can get tickets to games by being a shareholder?
I don't think so. And funny story, I had season tickets for the Knicks way back in the late 90s when I was a younger person who didn't have the family and financial responsibilities that come with it. So I was at the LJ game and some of the other games, the NBA Finals. So I'm excited, but I won't be attending.
Well, Paul, we appreciate you attending our show today and joining us, and I hope you have a great weekend this weekend.
Thank you very much.
That is Paul Monica with Barron's talking about Madison Square Gardens Sports Corporation.
Chuck, real quick, the get-in price for the Game 3 in New York for the NBA Finals. Did you see this?
I'm going to guess, hang on, let me guess. So we've got 20,000 seats in a city of 8 million people that hasn't been there in, I'm guessing get-in price is $25,000.
Get in?
Yeah.
No.
5.
No, 3,500.
Not as bad as I would have thought.
To get in. But
not as bad as I would have thought.
But down low, you're getting close to 6 figures.
Honestly, that's better than I would have thought, given the level of wealth and the number of Knicks fans that are out there. That is way cheaper than I would have thought.
Didn't MSG set aside like 500 tickets for underprivileged youth to watch this game?
I don't know.
I think they
did,
I
don't know.
Which is awesome.
I wonder where the seats are.
Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah, they donated 500 plus NBA Finals tickets to underprivileged families in New York. That's so cool.
Given what the tickets are going for, sell the ticket, take the money.
Yeah, probably.
I
don't know how the organization would feel about that, but yeah,
probably not great. But I'm just saying, man, if someone hands you a ticket that's worth thousands of dollars,
$3,500 minimum,
I think the money could be useful.
Yeah.
Just spitballing here.
Well, it's rare you get a Game 7 on a Saturday night. So if you haven't tuned in on the OKC and Spurs series at all, you can on Saturday. It's going to be highly entertaining.
It should be. Yeah, it should be a fantastic game in what has otherwise been just not a great NBA playoff.
No, I haven't really watched at all.
But this one should be entertaining on Saturday. Stocks remain largely in positive territory with all three major indices up. We'll see what happens over the weekend. If we get any kind of Iran deal, we'll have any information on it, good, bad, or ugly, on Monday, and we will see you then.